Aloha everyone, and welcome to another video by me, Kay Elmer. And this video is on hydrogen water, specifically hydrogen water bottles and hydrogen water tablets. My normal disclaimers are this is not medical advice. I'm not doing any product endorsements. I do not sell hydrogen products, and I do not get paid to do videos. So let's jump right in. On March 9th, a guy named Steve from Hydrogen for Health put out a video talking about multiple different types of bottles. And in the video, he basically was talking about the idea that not all the H2 water bottles are the same, and that's absolutely correct. If you saw my first video about hydrogen water, I walked through the different kinds of hydrogen devices that produce hydrogen water, and that's absolutely clear. And his point in his video, and there's a link below, and it's a good watch, is that the bottles that don't have that PEM membrane that I mentioned, they do create chlorine when salts are present in the source water, and he goes through it in his video, and he actually does all the testing, and he shows you the results, with the ones that do and the ones that do not have PEM membranes. And that these bottles also create ozone, with the implication that chlorine and ozone is not good. Now, why that he's making that statement, and it's true, is that hydrogen is created by running electricity through the water using two different metal plates in the bottom of the bottles. Now this electricity splits the water, the H2O, into hydrogen, H2, and oxygen. And then that's how you get the hydrogen floating in the water that you drink. Now, some of the oxygen molecules actually form to combine O2, which is oxygen gas, and so that's, you got bubbles coming up, and that's oxygen and hydrogen. And also some of those oxygen molecules connect together, form O3, which is called ozone. Now, here's the thing: if there's salt in the water, it will split into two, and it splits into sodium, Na, and then chlorine, which is two chlorine molecules. So that's the issue here. Is we're all doing this for our health. We're doing C60. We're drinking hydrogen water, and if you're drinking hydrogen water for your health, you're probably not going to want to drink chlorine. It's inconclusive if you want to drink ozone, but I'm not going there in this video. So the whole idea behind a PEM membrane is you have to spend more. So like the bottles that don't have it run like 70 to 150 bucks, but the bottles that do have that PEM membrane, they start at 250. So it's a price difference, and I actually bought the two cheaper ones you saw on the first slide. So the reason that the PEM membrane exists and why it's more expensive is that the technology is basically this right here. They put a membrane in between the two plates so that the hydrogen is isolated, and then it ends up just being in the water that you drink, and then the membrane kind of sucks up anything else so that it doesn't go into what you're going to drink. So that's what the membrane done is. It just basically sits between the two metal plates and kind of just keeps this other stuff from getting into your water, to be as non-technical as possible. But here's the thing, all right? Is chlorine bad? And so I did a little checking around, and bottom line, the EPA requires tap water, and this is just regular tap water, to have detectable levels of chlorine. It's supposed to be there to prevent contamination. And so what the EPA is basically saying is that the allowable chlorine levels in drinking water is up to 4 parts per million. Let's remember this number. It's going to come up later. And that it does pose no known or expected health risks, including an adequate margin of safety. And that's coming from the EPA. And yes, I know it's the government, but that's what they're saying. Okay, now, what about ozone? So ozone is really an interesting thing. When you go on the FDA's website, there's really, or the EPA, they don't really cover it as a substance you drink, but the FDA talks about ozone gas, and then when it comes to ozone water in the water, it's basically used as a disinfectant treatment. And they don't really get into how much is allowable, because the idea is when ozone goes into water, it's going to be gone in 20 to 30 seconds. It just quickly dissipates, just like H2 just dissipates really fast. And so if you just let it sit, or it finally gets through all the pipes and gets to where people are going to drink it, it's gone. So there's really no required, there's no rule about how much can be, because it just doesn't exist in the water supply. But what's really kind of cool is that ozone is actually a naturally occurring molecule. It's out there in the world, and here's this little statement here. In 106 years of continuous ozone use in thousands of municipal water treatment facilities worldwide, no case of fatality has yet been attributed to ozone. I got this out of I think it's like an 18-page white paper. Link below. Good white paper if you ever want to read about ozone. So what does this all mean? Okay, well, bottom line is, the chlorine is supposed to be in the tap water, and ozone's not a big deal. So, what it comes down to now is when the video came out by Steve. There was a lot of folks, and on Facebook, and well, I didn't read that one, but I heard about a Facebook thread that was going on, and on the Twitter side, folks that are into this were kind of like, hey, what do we do? We bought these cheaper bottles, and I got money into it. I mean, I personally have two of them. I got $160 invested in these bottles. I've been drinking it like crazy, and then all of a sudden I hear, oh man, it's producing chlorine, and oh, what do I do with it? And so everybody started chatting about, well, hey, and so I wanted just to talk about the ideas that popped up on Twitter about these H2 bottles that do not have a PEM membrane. And so the question came up was, hey, what is the best water you could use for that so it doesn't create the chlorine? It doesn't have salt, right? And so the idea comes up is, hey, well, what about purified? What about spring water? What about reverse osmosis water? What about distilled water? So what happens? Is it okay? And everybody was like, yeah, some folks said, yeah, I don't. It all comes down to, does your water smell like the pool water, right? I mean, it really comes down to that, because you can smell the chlorine in pool water, and so like I could smell it in mine, and I was kind of bumming for a little while because I had these, these two bottles I just bought. And other people were like, I don't smell pool water when I use our reverse osmosis water. Other people were like, I use spring water, and someone was out there, So let's just put this to rest. So what I did was I did a test. My test was I went and bought chlorine test strips and ozone test strips. And so I'm just going to kind of walk you through what I did. I basically got the test strips. I got all four kinds of water. I ran them through both of my bottles just to make a double test. And then I took the little test strips and I dipped them in the water per the instructions. This one's the chlorine test, and I was testing the strips. I tested every single water with every two bottles. And this is the ozone test. And as I was testing all of these and taking the measurements, what I did was I was able to then come up with this, and this was my test results. And so for chlorine with purified water, yes, there was 4.0 parts per million. But do you remember this from above? Well, if you're paying attention in class, right here, 4 parts per million is what the EPA says is no problemo. So, it's kind of funny where the highest number on the chart, is like, okay, well, it's not, don't worry about it, right? Because that's what's in tap water. And then the ozone was greater than 0.5 is what the measurement came from the testing. Now, spring water was lower than purified water. Purified water being, I have a British Birkfeld. I use two of them with Dalton water filters on it. Their gravity, put the water up here, comes down here. And so using that water and putting in the purifiers, that's what I mean by purified water. It came out the highest, but it came out no worse than tap water. And then the thing about spring water, which was the Avion spring water that I went and bought, it was a much lower after it ran through the bottles. Okay, this is after the cycle where you run it in the bottle. And then RSO water, which is reverse osmosis water, I'd actually go buy that too because I don't even have one of those. Came out where 0. I mean, distilled and RSO have 0, and obviously there's no salt in the water. That's what the filters do. That's what distilled water. So that's great. I mean, those guys suggested that. You're right on. There is no chlorine. If you're doing that in your water bottle, you're good to go. If you're doing that and you're using I use purified water and there's still some chlorine in there. I need to make the decision whether I want to put chlorine in, because the whole point of purifying it for me was to get the chlorine out. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. But then here you go. I mean, this is the results. You're perfectly fine with spring water, reverse osmosis, or distilled. Very low, if nothing, in terms of chlorine. And then I did, measuring the ozone, a little bit in purified, a tiny bit in the other three waters, but obviously there's really nothing to worry about. So the conclusion is there's nothing to worry about with these three waters. If you have this one and you're using just water out of your filter, you are going to get a little bit of chlorine. You may want to switch to these other waters, or if you're not worried about it, hey, your choice. But these are the results, so you can make the decisions. I did all the testing for you, so hey, I'm just sharing, like what I always do. So there you go on that. But so now let's talk about H2 tablets. One of the things I first did right when I found out about it, and I watched Steve's video, I was like, oh, I was bummed out, really. I have 2 bottles. What am I going to do? So I just put the bottles on the shelf and then I ordered the test strips. And while I was waiting for the test strips, I switched back to using my H2 Viva water tablets. And you'll remember this from my other hydrogen water video. And so I was taking these H2 Viva tablets, and then I got a solicitation for this other new product called H2 Elite, and it's a H2 water tablet as well. But I wanted to share this with you because it's really kind of interesting. And so, what they promote with H2 Elite hydrogen water tablets is that they are groundbreaking new supplement for adding the benefits of high dose hydrogen water. So high dose, right? And I was real interested in that. I'm like, just another H2 water tablet, whoop-dee, right? But no, this one, high dose, and what really caught my eye was right here. You can make it in an open, non-carbonated beverage, because you guys know that using H2 Viva, you put it in a bottle and it builds up that pressure, and then when you pop that bottle open, and I'm at work when I do this a lot, man, that thing just pops and fizzes and it gets water on my desk and it's kind of a pain. And so I was thinking, wow, you could do this in an open, non-carbonated beverage. Well, that's pretty cool. Let's check this out. So, hey, guess what I did? I went and bought H2 Viva to kind of test out and kind of compare it to H2 Elite and compare that to H2 Viva. So I ran a test. I actually got a substance called H2 Blue, which is a hydrogen reagent that you can use to test the amount of hydrogen in water. And so I went and got my test kit. There in the video I'm making my 2 different hydrogen waters with different tablets. That's the H2 Elite now, and you can see that it's in an open glass of water. Completely different way of making it. There's my H2 Blue test kit for measuring the H2 content, and how it works is, right there. This is what I want to point out about H2 Elite. You see that right there? The only weird thing about H2 Elite is that instead of the H2 Viva, which is a normal H2 tablet, where all the magnesium sinks to the bottom, with this new magnesium tablet, all the magnesium floats on the top. And it's just kind of, the first time I did this, I was like, oh, this is kind of creepy, and it just was kind of gross. This goo is on the top of the water. But I learned that, I'll just take a spoon, scoop it up off the top of the water, no big deal, and then drink it. Okay, now back to testing. The H2 Blue, what you do is you have to do real quickly, but you put the water in this little tube, and then you just kind of drip the H2 Blue color reagent into the canister, or the little tube there. And you see me with the little coffee stir stick. You keep stirring it until the blue doesn't go away, and that's pretty much it. So you buy this stuff if you want to know for sure how much H2 you're getting for your dollar. You can go ahead and test it, and then you just keep putting drops in, and then you stir, you put a drop in, and you stir, and they keep going away. And then about right here, they stop going away. And once the blue won't just go away real fast, then that's when you know you have enough. And enough means every drop equals 0.1 parts per million. So you just count drops. And so when I did the test, and here are the test results for you. When I did the test, the H2 Viva, it had 9 drops. So it's 0.9 ppm of hydrogen in the water that I used to, with those tablets. What was cool though was with H2 Elite, it does what it says it's going to do. I put 63 drops of the reagent into there before the blue wouldn't go away, and which comes out to 6.3 ppm. And so what's really cool, and what I wanted to share with you, because I'm always out comparing stuff and thinking stuff and testing stuff, was that this new product out there is $60, right? You buy H2 Viva, it's $40 a bottle. They both have 60 tablets in the bottle, right? And so this is what I wanted to point out, that with the H2 Elite, you get 600% more H2 per tablet in a glass, right? For 50% more bucks. And so that's a heck of a deal if you're really into the whole, getting hydrogen into your body, and you want the best way to do it, and you don't want to mess with the bottle, those hydrogen water makers. You can use tablets, okay? And then the other thing that's really cool about using the H2 Elite is that, it takes 20 minutes. When you do H2 Viva, you have to put it in a bottle, you have to drop it in there, seal the bottle up. It takes 10 minutes for the tablet to finally totally dissolve, and then you have to wait another 10 minutes, so it takes you 20 minutes before you can drink it. Now with H2 Elite, You put that in the water, and it literally it dissolves in 3 minutes, and then you can drink it, of course, after you scoop out the sludge on the top. So once you scoop out the stuff on the top, 3 minutes, boom, you're drinking. So the water stays cold, if you know what I mean, because it's sitting on your desk or something. So I actually really like this H2 Elite product. I wanted to share that with you. It just came out just a few weeks ago. So I went and bought one of the first bottles, and here you go. There's my test results. I actually recommend this one. I don't sell it or anything, but I think it's a pretty cool deal if you're doing tablets. I'm actually out shopping for a new H2 water generator that doesn't make chlorine, but that's $250, and all my kind of resources go to my C60 research. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to buy, but I did want to share this with you. And then also, just before I leave, I just want to say, hey, thank you very much. I know your time's real important, so I want to jump off as fast as I can, but I do want to share one little thing with you that I did this morning that was amazing. I've been taking, a new C60 product, and this morning I took a dropper under the tongue, subliminally, and let it kind of just soak in, right? And while I was waiting for the H2 Elite tablet to dissolve, so for 3 minutes it's under the tongue, and I drank, and then I immediately drank it. So I had to take in the C60, and then I drank a glass of the H2 Elite at real high potency H2 water, and I was so energized from that. I had never taken a punch of energy like that. Up this whole time I've been trying C60 and H2, right? It was pretty much. You guys want to try something wild? Do that on an empty stomach, and you'll know what I mean. It's like all the energy you'd get from like 3 espressos, but none of the coffee effects, right? So anyway, that's kind of a cool story that happened this morning, and I was pretty much wired for like 6 hours. It was crazy. Anyway, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support and your comments, and I love the questions. I incorporate that into my videos, and I really, really like your stories. I've been retweeting some of them as people have been sharing. I mean, one guy's hair got darker, another person, they got more energy, and they're 70 years old, but they feel like they're 40. I mean, all this great stuff, C60 and of course H2. So, hey, everybody, thank you, and you're doing a great job, and keep it up, and take care of yourselves, and hey, aloha, have a great day.